Hi everybody, tonight's lesson is going to be a short one. We are going to do some review and then we're going to learn a new concept. So let's start with our first review, and that is 3 ways to write division problems. So let's focus on these 3 ways. We have 29 divided by 8 with this little symbol right here. This is the first way. You have your your dividend, which is 29, and that's going to be divided by your divisor, which is the number 8. The second way is in the middle. Some people call this the house method. It's not really a house, but it kind of looks like one. It kind of looks like a long division sign. It's still the same thing. It's just another symbol that we use for dividing. So this time the dividend goes under the house. You put the house over the dividend, and then 8, the divisor, goes on the side. Now, if I were going to put the quotient, the answer would go there on top. And the last way is the way that looks like a fraction. This would be considered an improper fraction. It's not proper. It's not right. It's kind of what that word makes me think of. But basically what it is, it's a bigger number at the top and the smaller number at the bottom. That's why it's called improper. Now, 29 is your dividend. That goes on top. This right here, your fraction bar says divided by, so you have 29 divided by your divisor, which is 8. Now, let's go ahead and solve. We're going to solve by saying 8 times what number equals 29 without going over. That means I have to say 8 times each number. Well, let me think. Well, I know 8 times 2 is 16. 16 is pretty far. Can I go farther? What's 8 times 3? 8 times 3 is 24. Okay, can I go farther than that? What's 8 times 4? That's 32. That's too far. So I'm going to say 8 times 4. And that, not 4, 8 times 3. 8 times 3 equals 24. Now, that means I'm going to be able to share 3 groups of 8, right? Or 8 groups of 3. But that's not going to give me my answer. I have to add something to 24 to get to 29. So another way to do that is I can subtract 29 minus 24, right? Equals 5. So what is my answer? My answer is 3 with the remainder of 5. Now, I could say 3 times 8 plus 5. To do that first would give me my answer. And that's how I would add to check, or multiply to check. Now, I'm going to circle my answer to make sure everybody knows that it's what it is. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to finish these problems. You're going to rewrite each of these division problems that we have here in the 3 different ways and then solve them here. When you're finished with that, you are then going to move on to the application problem. You're going to do that all on your own, answering the 3 different questions that you have there. When you're finished with all of this, you're going to hit play again. Of course, you're going to pause it while you're doing those things. And then we're going to move on to the last part of our lesson today. All right, we're moving on to the extend your knowledge part. And we're going to extend our knowledge by using something that we already know to get to something new. So basically, we're going to be estimating. Now, we're going to be estimating with dividing, and we're going to be estimating some pretty big numbers. So let's start with the very first one. Now, these on the screen are not written like they are on your paper. On your paper, they're the first 3 going across at the top. We're going to do those together. You're going to do the bottom 3 on your own, just so you know. So we have 34,569 divided by 51. Estimate means to round normally, and we are going to do some rounding here. So let's see if this would round, what it would round to. Well, the 4 will tell the 3 to stay. Everything else becomes a 0. And we're going to divide that by 51. But that's not a number that I can easily divide by. I want to get a basic fact. So I know that I can probably take this number 30 right here and divide it by 5 because it's a basic fact. And that 1 will tell that 5 to rest. So that'd be 50. Now, my basic fact I'm going to underline. It's 30 divided by 5. 30 divided by 5 is, hopefully you just said 6. Now I'm going to cross out everything I have. I already have that 5, and I've already done with the 30. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look, do I have any more zeros in this number? I do. I'm going to cross out the 0 in this number and one of the zeros here. Do you see how I'm crossing out to make them equal? And that's going to leave me with 2 zeros that I have to deal with. These zeros are going to be put in the answer with the 6 that we've already added. So we're going to add those 2 zeros here. So as a quick review, let's see what we did. We found our basic fact. After we rounded, we found our basic fact, which is 30, and we divided that by 5. We crossed that number out, and we said 30 divided by 5 was 6. We wrote that in our quotient. Then we checked for the extra zeros, and we had to cross them out so they were equal on both sides. So if there was a 0 on this side with the divisor, we had to cross it out in the dividend. Then we checked for extra zeros. There were 2 extra zeros, which also had to go into the quotient. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we got this right. Is 600 times 50 going to equal our dividend, which is 30,000. So let's try it. Our basic fact is 6 times 5 is 30. Count our zeros. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And that's 30,000. So we know that our estimation is correct to 600. Now, let's look at our next one. 1,234 divided by 4. Now this one, we're going to go ahead and round to see what happens. Now remember, you don't round single digits, so I'm not going to round that 4. But I am going to round the 1,234. And that 2 would round that 1 to a 1 because it's for 4 or less. And everything else becomes a 0. But here's the problem. 1,000 or 1 or 10 does not equally divide by 4. So rounding here is not going to help me. So I'm going to look for something, instead of rounding, I'm going to look for a compatible number. Now compatible means a number that you know you can divide easily by. And look right here. I have 12. I know that I can divide 12 by 4. So if I take this number and say it's 12, make this 1,200, okay, because I'm rounding, but I'm rounding in a little bit different of a way. I'm going to say 1,200 divided by 4 now is going to be my problem. My basic fact is 12 divided by 4, which equals 3. I'm going to cross this out because I've used it. I'm going to cross this out because I've used it. There are no more zeros here in the 4. So now I'm just going to look for extra zeros here, which there are 2. I'm going to put that here in my answer. So I think my answer is 300. Let me make sure. Is 300 times 4 going to get me my estimated dividend, which is 1,200? Well, 3 times 4 is 12. My 2 extra zeros? Yes, it does. So my quotient, or estimated quotient, is 300. So again, rounding at this problem did not help me. I had to find that compatible number. So I have to know a little bit about my facts. Now, let's look at this next problem. I wonder if we can round on this one. Let's see. That 9 will tell that 1 to round to a 2. These all become zeros. So I have 200,000. Now, this is a double-digit number, so I can definitely round that to a single digit, and that 9 will tell that 3 to round to a 4. That'll be 40. Now, can I easily do this? Well, what's my basic fact? I can say 20 divided by 4. I can do that. I couldn't say 2 divided by 4, but I could say 20. So 20 divided by 4 is 5. I'm going to cross out that 4 because I've used it. I'm going to cross out this 2 and this 0 and the 20 because I've used it. Now, I need to use and make these equal out on both sides, these zeros. So I have a 0 over here that I'm going to cross out and a 0 over here. They're going to cancel each other out, which leaves me with these 3 zeros. Those are going to go to my answer, which is 5,000. Now, what am I going to do? I'm going to multiply to make sure. Is 40 times 5,000 about 200,000? Well, 4 times 5 is 20. 40 has 1 0. 5,000 has 3. So yeah, it works. So my estimated quotient is 5,000. Now, this is not a simple thing to do. It takes a little bit of thought, and you're going to have to maybe work it out more than once. So in other words, if when you round, the number is not easily divisible, then you may have to look for that compatible number. You're going to have to really think about what you're doing while you're doing this. Take your time. It's not difficult. It just takes a little bit more time, and you do have to think. So there is some thought processes here. You can do it if you think and figure it out. Figure it out for a little bit. All right, you're going to finish the rest on these tonight, and I will see you back, and we will go over them tomorrow in class.